Uh,
We're live, Rob.
apparently we're not, so I'm on the YouTube website. There's someone sitting in the waiting room waiting for the episode that's... Oh, yeah, what's this?
Telling me we're live. It says we've been live for 16 seconds.
We are live. Oh, Jakob's in the house.
There you go. Hi, Jakob. We should preface this by saying it is 9:30 on a Monday morning, which isn't the normal time that we record this. So, in fact, would that make any difference?
I don't know if it would. Yeah, because I forgot, didn't I?
You did, but I think I've forgotten at some point. Standard. We just like to pop up unawares. I think it's best that 8 or 16 remains a surprise whenever it's published. I quite like the idea of that. Try and trick the algorithm. It's a relatively tidy outline you've put together for this, Rob. It looks quite not that it isn't ever tidy, but sometimes it's big. This looks a bit more manageable, I think, in an hour.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how we get on.
There's been some interesting stuff, hasn't there, since we last spoke?
Yeah.
M4 Mac Mini.
Yeah.
Can we start there?
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Have you got one? You haven't, have you?
Yeah, well, last time we spoke, the trade-in value on my M2 Pro 16 gig 1 terabyte machine was 800 quid, so I could just drop that in at my local computer exchange and walk out with 800 quid, which means that I could have got a base spec M4 Mac Mini or one with 512 gigs of storage, which would probably be better, I think. Yeah, so I could either just do a side grade or go for a base one and use my my homemade external 4 terabyte external SSD, which has got pretty fast read-write speeds over Thunderbolt 4. I elected not to do it because, as we discussed before, I'm not even vaguely stressing the machine I've got. I just upgraded my Windows 11 virtual machine to 24H2 to see if that really is as awful as everyone's saying it is. And that's actually running in the background at the moment, and my CPU usage is 37%, and I'm using 46% of my memory, and that's with all of the OBS and streaming and record. Oh, actually, I'm not recording my audio locally. I forgot to set that off.
That's
so
all right.
I'll have to use the StreamYard audio.
We'll have a copy. But I mean, that kind of illustrates that you don't need a new computer, do you? That's the main thing.
I do not need a new computer. Well, the other thing that held me back was the fact that it's Wi-Fi 6E, and at some point during the ownership of my next computer, my home network will be Wi-Fi 7. So that would annoy me. So yeah, I didn't really notice the difference going from M1 to M2. I'm still perfectly happy with my M1 MacBook Air. I think that's a superb machine. And looking at the benchmarks, it saves you seconds if you're doing particular things, doesn't it?
It does, and it doesn't feel any different in everyday use. They don't really. They all, ever since the M1, they've felt the same.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not like I haven't got an M4 machine in the house, because I have. I've got an iPad.
You've got your iPad.
M4, and that doesn't feel any different to the 2018 iPad Pro it replaced, which had an A18X. So, yeah, I don't think I do anything that necessitates an upgrade to M4 at this stage. And the M5, whenever that comes out, is only going to be better. Might have Wi-Fi 7. So, yeah, I'm going to sit this one out, I think. Yeah, and I don't know, if it came in Larry Orange, I might have been tempted.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
That would have looked good next to my my R1.
That's Apple users all over, isn't it? Kind of go on about why you don't need a new computer, but if they made a different colour, I'd snap one up. Why didn't they?
Well, even if it came in space black, that would probably have been enough to nudge me over into doing a side grade.
I'd convinced myself it was going to be in black, because I think because all the rumours of the kind of Apple TV like nature of it, I just had in my head this kind of Mac Mini that was black, and it's not. It's just it's still a lovely little thing, but it's just it's silver. It's the silver that we've always had with the Mac Mini, but and it's much bigger than the Apple TV. When you put them side by side, it's significantly bigger, which is understandable. But they're great Great machines, though. I think I stated in my M4 that the base model Mac Mini test that I did over the weekend on YouTube, I think I stated that it's their best ever product.
Yeah, you cannot buy a better computer for 600 quid. I mean, that's not opinion. That's absolute.
It's just fact, 100% fact. Yeah, you can't. And I think
unless you, I mean, you could build something that gets close if you were prepared to put in the time buying second-hand PC parts. You could not build yourself a computer that performs like a base spec M4 Mac Mini of any size. Not even
looks
one
like
that's
that.
Tiny. One that's so tiny and uses so little power, and it, is silent.
And it is silent. It is silent unless you do. If you're using 18 instances of Blender and doing all this stuff that I didn't do on my benchmark. And I know some people have got it to spin up. They've got the fans to spin up, and I did. I got it to do. I think was it the M4 Pro. My M4 Pro test, I think during the stress test of that, where I had Logic Pro with 128 tracks all playing back, audio, MIDI, AI drummers, alongside a 3-camera 4K 10-bit Final Cut Pro project, and Lightroom exporting 2,500 raw files to large JPEG, and every app that I use and own on that Mac open at the same time. It was whirring a little bit, and it was a little bit warm. But again, the processor was the CPU was at about 40% or something ridiculous. Crazy. It's that Logic Pro stuff that still blows my mind. I think I said this in the video, that the fact you can even open that on a base model 16 gig M4 Mac Mini and use it. This 128 track thing, and all of the stuff in it was stock. It was all Logic Pro plugins and synth and stuff, but that was just mainly for speed and time. But even so, 128 tracks, 4 minutes of horrendous noise, as you can imagine, but blows my mind. Absolutely blows me away.
But it all starts falling apart if you start looking at the upgrade path, though. Because if you just upgrade the RAM to 32 gig and a 512 gig SSD, that's the value of the machine again in upgrades. And then it becomes an entirely different situation where you could absolutely build a better PC for the same amount of money. But yeah, I don't think anyone needs to, because build yourself an external SSD if you need that storage. Offload your photos library, which is probably the biggest thing that most people have these days. I think. I don't know about you, but since having kids, I've now got like. Last time I checked, I was over 18,000 photos and about 2,000 videos, I think. So, and it's all backed up in the iClouds, and my photo library is about 200 gig. So 256 gig is not going to cut it for me, but you can set photos to point to other storage options, so it's not stored actually on your machine. And I think if you were planning on doing video editing, you might have a bit of a hard time with a 256 gig machine. But as an everyday machine that happens to be able to do pretty much anything you can throw at it, 600 quid for a base spec M4 is ludicrous.
It's amazing. I think anything above that, those higher specs, like you say, the ones where you do start adding a lot of money on, even for a business though, that's a good investment. It's only really businesses and I think creative professionals who can justify investing that much in a Mac and not going to a Mac Studio or a Mac Pro, or not needing a MacBook Pro. That's where that money is wisely spent, I think. But yeah, for most people, that base model Mac Mini with 512 gig of storage, that's all you need. It'll do you for a very long time.
Gavin's in the chat there asking if it came in iMac colours, which one would you get?
They're not Larry enough for me. I want the orange one. I want the very Larry orange. But they don't really do that. They're a bit muted, aren't they, these days? I'm not sure. They're all quite nice, though. I think orange aside, I think they're all quite. I'll take any of them really. It's just a bit more interesting.
Can you buy the colour matched accessories, or can you only get those with if you buy an iMac?
I think you can only get them with the iMac with the colour that you buy. I think.
Not that it matters, because obviously the Magic Mouse is a travesty.
What you can do, yeah, true. You can get a 3D printed Mac Pro case, can't you, for the Mac Mini?
Oh, you can, yeah. Have you seen that?
Which Patrick Rambles did. He had someone print it for him.
Oh, yeah. Is it good?
It looks all right. It looks okay. I mean, I probably wouldn't get one myself, but it's cute. It's a nice little. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? If you fancy turning your, it's quite a statement as well, isn't it? Here is my mini Mac Pro, literally.
Oh, look. Oh, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, aren't I? The chap that I once mistook for a woman. Sorry about that again.
Yeah, don't try names. We should say this is why you should watch this on YouTube, because we're referring to people who are actually in the chat room. So we're live on YouTube every day of the week at some point. What else can we say about the Mac Mini?
Well, it goes a stage. So you know that 3D printed case. So someone has published the specs to 3D print a case into which you can put your M4 Mac Mini that makes it look like a Mac Pro. Someone has gone a stage further and made a MagSafe studio display stand that you can put your iPhone in, so you can have a tiny little Mac Mini and use your iPhone as a display.
Let me get this right. So it's
a duet display or whatever.
Okay, so I'm trying to a Mac Studio. Sorry, a studio display, a mini version of that, but
yeah,
your iPhone.
But where your phone is the display.
Wow. Why would you ever use that? When would you need that? Portable,
just
I suppose?
You can.
You take it
just because you can, because it's fun.
You can, that's true. Chuck it in your bag and... Wow. What a world we live in.
Yeah. Have you got an M4 Max machine on the way?
We haven't. No, we're going to try and get hold of something along those lines, yeah. But it sounds pretty nuts, doesn't it, in terms of the GPU?
Well, so the M4 Max is on par with an RTX 3090 by all accounts. But then the M3 Max was no slouch either. So I think if you've got an M3 Max machine, you're not really going to feel the difference, except for very specific things. What I'm curious about is how the Ultra will turn out. I think the next Mac Studio will be very interesting. So the Ultra chip is two Maxes stapled together, isn't it? So on that basis, if it delivers twice the power that it does currently, then that would outperform a 4090, which is the flagship GPU on the PC side of the fence. So that'd be quite interesting. But they start about $4,000, don't they? So there's no value to be had there.
If it goes into the Mac Studio, I think the release cadence is about. It would be right, wouldn't it, to have the new Mac Studio earlier next year? But it's never guaranteed, is it, that we're going to see one? Or the Mac Pro. Will we get a Mac Pro?
I reckon so.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I suppose in theory we should do, shouldn't we? But do people still use those? I mean, I just don't know who needs a Mac Studio now. If you spec up
that's a fair point, isn't it? Because
if you really spec up an M4 Pro.
Well, even if you don't, just even the base spec M4 just wipes the floor with anything up to M3 Pro, basically, doesn't it? So it wipes the floor with it on single core. It's on par with an M2 Pro in terms of multi-core. It's there or thereabouts for GPU. I mean, it is hobbled on memory bandwidth and things. So if you are doing your blenders and your really heavy duty stuff, you would want to go up to a Pro. But I think if you've got an M1, M2 machine, it's not really worth it. So it's all very nice looking at the graphs, and you go, I exported this 10-bit Final Cut, thing, and it did it in 1 minute instead of 1 minute and 10 seconds. I mean, I don't think even as a business you're going to get a return on investment there. It's so fractional that I think if you've got an Intel machine, it's a no-brainer. If you've got an M1 and you're feeling flush, I think you'd have a good time. I think you've got M2 or later, certainly M2 Pro or later.
Not worth it.
Not worth it.
No. I guess the argument for it is the fact that the M4 Max at the moment is only in the MacBook Pro, isn't it? So there's no desktop M4 Max Mac at the moment. So I guess we will see one. I just can't fathom who needs a Mac Studio. I suppose you still get USB-A built in, don't you? Do you get more I/O overall? Possibly. I don't know. I don't know. Let us know. Leave a review and tell us how wonderful we are, and tell us why you use a Mac Studio if you listen to this. We could use the comments actually on YouTube.
You mentioned the MacBooks there. They quietly snuck in a quantum dot display in the M4 MacBook Pro.
Yeah, I heard
so
about
I don't
this.
think they mentioned that anywhere on the thing. So I mean, apparently they previously sort of shied away from quantum dot technology in their displays because it uses cadmium, but they found a way to do it without cadmium, but still with all the benefits of the quantum dots. That's all I've got to say about that, really. I just there's a lot talking about that.
Well, they're talking more about the nano texture, aren't they? That for them, that's a bigger deal. And I think from what I've seen, I've not seen one in the flesh, but I've seen a few examples of people being out and about, and in places with really bright either direct sunlight or just windows nearby, and it makes a big difference from the looks of it having that nano texture display compared to the usual.
I'm not keen on it, especially not when Samsung can deliver a similar amount of reflection rejection with a coating, because the S24 Ultra display is superb in light, isn't it?
Yeah, barely reflects anything, doesn't it? Yeah, that's true. Actually, like I said, I've not seen one in
every
person,
other respect.
so.
You can take it outside and take dreadful photos. But actually, on the subject of dreadful photos, you've got an Oppo Find X8.
X8 and X Pro 8. Start again. X8 and X8 Pro. Yeah, I've got both. I can't talk about them. All I can do is show photos, which I've shown, I think, on Instagram.
You posted one on the Discord, a 30x zoom, which I have to say is much better than a 30x zoom photo you'd get out of an S24 Ultra.
Was that what was it?
It was a Castle.
Castle, it was Warwick Castle, was it? That was unbelievably good, I thought, yeah. Yeah, incredible. Really impressive. I did, so I've got to be so careful what I say now. It's one of those embargoes where you can show photos, but you can't give an opinion on the product, which I've just done, haven't I? I appreciate that. But that's fine. So I can't really say anything. I mean, the review will hit the channel later this week, basically.
Righto.
But
yeah, so
but yeah, 30x.
Because I'm not.
Give me your opinion on what you saw.
So I saw that 30x photo was very clearly digitally enhanced, very sharpened. I likened it to, so like when you take a really zoomy photo on an S24 Ultra, it all goes a bit watercolor, doesn't it? So I mean, you posted various photos. I mean, I've posted some photos actually on the Discord of a seagull. So I was standing on the promenade on Worthing seafront, and at 1x, you couldn't see the seagull. You can't see it, But then when you use the periscope zoom and you go in, I got occupying the full frame of the composition was a seagull, but the pebbles and everything around it looked like a watercolor. It all goes a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That 30x Castle photo that you posted on the Discord doesn't do that, but it still looks weird. It looks rotoscoped, I think is the way I would describe it.
Yeah. There's a limit with. There's a limit with zooms, isn't there? I think for me that the 5x on any kind of flagship is the one that's got to be really usable most of the time, basically. Whether it's light or dark or whatever. But yeah, we'll see what I think about it later on this week. But the great thing about this is that you can finally buy Oppo phones in Europe once again after 2022 and it all going a little bit wrong with Nokia. People weren't aware, Oppo weren't allowed to sell phones, or they pulled out of Europe. I think it was sort of part way through 2022, wasn't it? Something like that, after a patent dispute with Nokia. That's all been sorted, and they're back basically, and they're coming back with these two phones, the X8 and the X8 Pro. So yeah, that's good news. I think some more competition for Samsung and the rest of them.
What do they weigh in at price wise, or do we not know yet?
Don't have them yet. Don't actually have the prices yet. The launch event is this week, so
I'm sure the cameras are fine, right? And as a phone, it'll do everything that it's supposed to. But I think that what makes or breaks phones for me now is the reliability of those cameras. So obviously I've got an S24 Ultra. I can't use it. Takes photos too late, and the photos it does take are blurry, and it turns myself and my kids orange. So I don't like the I don't like the color science.
You're not keen.
It cannot take a photo of anything that's moving, and it takes the photo about half a second too late. Even with I've tried everything. Even with the most recent update, I've got the latest Expert RAW app. Was it Expert RAW? I think is that. I've got the camera assistant thing that you get off the. I've forgotten what it's called now. You know what I'm talking about anyway. So
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I've tried every combination of settings to try and get it to work the way I want to. So like out of the box, it always used to take the photo when you took your finger off the shutter button, and you can tweak that so that it takes the. It's still too slow. Then I've got the camera in the Magic V3, the bendy phone, and I posted some photos from that and asked people to tell me which one they thought was the iPhone and people thought that the V3 took the photos that the V3 took. People thought were taken by an iPhone. That camera is much more reliable in my experience and takes pleasing photos with nice colour. It's got a better camera than the S24 Ultra in my opinion for the things that I take photos of. So well, I'm curious to know when your review comes out, and you probably haven't gone into this because you don't typically, but yeah, I'll be curious. Maybe I'll have to ask you about it next time. Does it take a photo of the thing that you asked it to reliably? That's what I want to know about it. But yeah,
right,
we'll find
reliable
out next time,
photos. It is important.
Although
it is very important.
Next time's going to be in a while, isn't it? Because you're away for 2 weeks. Are you allowed to talk about why that is?
One of them, yeah, definitely. One of them is it's the Oppo event. So it's the launch of these two phones, which is this week. So I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to Bali.
Oh, wow.
We've got to obviously test these phones somewhere, and around Warwick isn't enough, so we need to go to Bali instead. So that's tomorrow. Very long flight. Well, 2 flights actually.
How long are you in Bali for?
Until Saturday. So it's Tuesday to Saturday. It's one of those flights where you get back on Sunday morning in the UK at 6 a.m. or something, having left the previous country at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something ridiculous. So,
Do you know anyone else going? Is technology lover Ben going?
I don't think Ben is. No. I think Thomas the tech chap is. I think he flew out yesterday. I saw him on Instagram. A couple of the guys, a couple of the press guys I know pretty well, they're going as well. I'd imagine a fair few people won't have said no to this one though. Where it is. Have you ever been to Bali?
I have not.
Neither have I. It looks very nice. Rainy season though, so I might get wet.
So the other one, you can't talk about what you're going for, but can you say where in the world you're going?
I could get you to guess, couldn't I? What this is? So what can I say? I don't think I can say. I'm always just overly cautious about this sort of thing. It's a new launch. It's another new launch. It's probably going to be the last launch of note, I think, before the end of this year from a company that I won't say any more. Who do you think it could be with? It's in Europe. It's a trip to Europe. Quite a quick one, only a couple of days.
I've got no idea. I'm not sure. I've not really been paying attention to what's going on.
People can guess in the comments, but there's been a few. I think what it is what's coming out is expected, as has been expected for the last couple of months or so. But yeah. I can't. Just in case, I won't mention it. But that's next week. So yeah, we've basically got 2 weeks now where it's just crazy, as it always is. But we'll pick things back up after then.
On the subject of YouTubers, did you watch that YouTuber beat up an old man for about 20 minutes on Netflix?
I didn't. No. I thought about staying up because I think it started. Well, the programming started at 1 a.m. UK time. Did you watch it? No. I thought about it, and then I thought, no, this is a boxing match, which it won't start at 1 a.m. It will start at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think that's what happened. It went on for ages. I've seen tiny little clips of it with people saying, "Oh, here's the moment that Mike Tyson, kind of nodded to Jake Paul to say, wind it in a little bit, or the vice versa, or whatever." yeah, I don't know. I'm not a massive boxing fan. I don't dislike it. I just don't really watch boxing. It's just all about money, isn't it? That's all it was. It was a money fight. It wasn't even a fight though.
Well,
From what I can gather, not much happened really, did it?
well, you're quite a fit chap. Why don't you throw him some shade?
Get in the ring
on...
with Jake Paul.
Well, I was thinking more Tyson, but yeah.
Okay, aim big. Aim even bigger. I don't think he'll ever know who I am. Unfortunately, I could do a post on Instagram. I might do that and just see if anything happens. I'll probably get a fight with some. I can't. I'm trying to think of a joke. I was trying to think of a low rent boxer, but I don't know enough about boxing to kind of do that. But no, I didn't watch it. Was it 20 minutes? Is that how long it went on for?
I don't know. I plucked that number out of the air. But it was like 8 2-minute rounds, wasn't it?
Was it? That what it was.
I believe. Well, in any case, right. So anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. I just was curious.
It's
well,
fairly relatable, isn't it? YouTube.
I suppose so. Yeah. Oh yeah.
On this list, you've gone from the Jake Paul fight to camera control.
Yeah,
and then two other completely different things.
There's two things off the top of my head that I was curious about. Is that now you've had camera control for a little while, is it still horrible?
I just don't use it. That's not fair. The only thing I use it for is to go into the camera app. For that, it's quite handy. I've just got used to doing that, and I've changed it so it's double press rather than the single press, because the single press was so annoying. But I don't use it when I take photos. The only time I've maybe occasionally used it is vertical, when I've had just one hand taking a photo of my son or something. Sometimes it makes sense there with your thumb, but even that feels like I just didn't do it before. I don't need to do it now, and no.
And
I'd love to know if other people are using it.
I can't believe anyone is. It's just I genuinely disliked it. It wasn't like, oh, that's all right, but I won't use it. It was just like this annoys me. So that's why I sent it back. How long did you last with the Clicks case on your phone?
It's not on there at the moment. The only reason it's not on there at the moment is because we've got two other cases that I had to unbox and test and talk about. So I've got a Peak Design one on there at the moment. It's over there charging, so I can't show you, but I've got a very nice Peak Design one on there. Clicks, I still need time with it. I'm still 50-50. I liked a lot of aspects of it. Probably not. It's a bit too big for travel. There's one aspect of it. Yeah, I'm 50-50 with it. I get why people like it. I get the niche for it completely, but is it a long-term thing for me? I don't know. I'll definitely put it back in. I've left it on the desk waiting, so I'll do that in the next day.
Last time we talked about, I couldn't find mine, but I've got a numbered one. Look at that.
Okay, check that out. Proper Clicks fan. Jeff Beck.
Oh yeah, I pinged you about this on the Discord, but I thought we'd just bring it up because obviously, it's no secret that you're a big Jeff Beck fan, and it just came out in the news yesterday that 130 of Jeff Beck's guitars are going up for auction, and obviously the famous ones, the ones that are featured on album covers and stuff, they're going to be like £500,000 up, aren't they? I reckon you can have a few of those. You might get one for $5,000.
You vanished then, Rob. I don't know if that was just me or you. Are you still there? Oh, yeah, back. I got the gist of that. They're going to be very expensive. I can't afford one. If I had the money, 100%. If I was a millionaire, I would absolutely try and get one. Because what a piece of history that is. Oh, you've gone again.
Something's gone horribly wrong. Oh, you're back. There we go.
You're back. Okay.
Who stopped? I think we've both been sort of freezing up a bit, haven't we?
We have. So this is what happens when you're live. I think we were both saying the same thing, which was basically TLDR is that Jeff Beck's guitars, 130 of them are up for auction, and neither of us can afford one, but we both want one.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, I mean, I reckon just some of the skankier ones, I reckon would be in the affordable range. But I mean, you
can't call any of his guitars skanky, Rob.
I think you can. He was not a man who treated his guitars with as ornaments. They were tools. They were proper working instruments, and so and that's nice. I think they'll be properly beaten up, and yeah. So anyway, well,
I'd like one of his hot rods. I don't know if they're selling off, auctioning off his. He was a big hot rod man, wasn't he? He was a big car guy. I'd like one of those. Surely they won't be quite as expensive as. Maybe they're not auctioning them, but if they were, I'd consider that definitely.
So
I can't believe it's been 2 years though.
Yeah, you're not even going to have a cheeky look. So it's January 25th, I think, next year at Sotheby's.
Yeah, I can't even think about affording one, but I'll keep an eye on it. It'd be interesting to see how much they go for.
What are you talking about? You're a massive YouTuber. It'll look lovely in in your YouTuber mansion. Have you seen Mr. Who Are the Boss's new house?
I have. Yeah, I watched his. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? What a gaff.
So, I mean, when did he start? 2011. You're only a few years off that.
He's also got about 18 million
to
subs.
Hong Kong.
Has he? What, Ali?
Yeah.
I don't watch Ali anymore. He lives in Hong Kong.
He's moved to Hong Kong.
Oh, well, what's he doing there?
Just living there.
Living there, making YouTube videos. Wow. Okay. I'm staying in Leamington. I'm going to be true to my. In fact, I'm not true to because I come from Northampton. But maybe I'll move back to Northampton. But no.
So right, sorry, I've gone off. This is my fault.
We've gone off the rails massively.
This is So, Final Cut 11 that came out. Have you given that a go yet?
Opened it, realised I don't edit my videos anymore and don't know what I'm doing, and closed it. No, it's from what I've seen, what they've done with it. It's a bit long. We've been waiting for this sort of stuff for ages now from Final Cut Pro, but it's nice to have this proper kind of automated masking and all the stuff that you see in TikToks and stuff that you can now do with a click of a button in Final Cut Pro. It's good news, I think. I've not tried it, so how easy it is to use, I don't know.
So has it got like feature parity with CapCut now?
It's getting there, and it's not far off. Still a million miles behind DaVinci, which is why Apple used DaVinci themselves. But
what was interesting was that DaVinci Resolve 19.1 came out, pipped them to the post with spatial video editing, didn't they? That came out. You could edit spatial video in DaVinci Resolve before you could do it in Final Cut. Have you taken any spatial video or watched it on your Vision Pro? No.
Once, and that was during the unboxing, the video that I did, the unboxing of it in February. Since then, I mean, is anyone doing that? Is anyone shooting spatial video?
I keep meaning to, because there's a utility, isn't there, that allows you to convert an iPhone spatial video so that you can play it on a Quest. I just haven't got around to doing it. I will at some point, though.
Give it a go. Let us know how it is. But yeah. Okay. So I think it's good news, Final Cut Pro 11, but I don't use it anymore really, or very, very rarely. So
okay. And then the other big sort of creative news from Apple is that they bought Pixelmator. So the Mac, very well, what's the word? Very well regarded Photoshop and Lightroom alternative. So you've got Photomator and you've got Pixelmator. And I've used both of those since they were in beta, and I've I cancelled my Creative Cloud subscription. Although if you do want to use the full fat thing, either because you just that's what you're used to, or you need the other stuff in the Adobe suite. There's some massive Black Friday discounts at the moment. I mean, they do this every Black Friday, but it's something ludicrous, like 70% off if you pay annually in advance. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still like 300 quid, but that's a lot less than you would pay at any other time of the year. So if you were hankering after some Adobe goodness, now's the time to do it. But yeah, what do you think about them buying Pixelmator? Do you think they're going to sort of keep it going as a separate concern? Do you think they're going to revive the Aperture brand, which everyone misses still 10 years later?
Aperture was great, wasn't it? Has it been 10 years since that's gone?
I'm pretty sure, at least.
I can't see that coming back. I also can't think why they would keep Pixelmator as a thing on its own. I think it's probably going to disappear.
Do you think they'll just roll it into Photos?
I think they'll just take the stuff in it, won't they, and use it.
The thing about Pixelmator is because it's Mac only and it's Mac first, it's just got brilliant support for things like shortcuts. So you can have it easily title stuff or mask stuff. You can any sort of image manipulation that you do on a regular basis, maybe applying filters or whatever, you can automate via shortcuts, and I'd be very sad if that went away.
Unless they just build it all into Photos. I can't think why else they'd buy it. Why else would they want to acquire it? They've done this plenty of times before, haven't they? When they've bought a very popular app.
Dark Sky.
Dark Sky, that's gone, isn't it?
Rolled into weather.
Yeah, that's my guess. Might be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I mean I've used Pixelmator a little bit in the past, but I know it's got like you say, a big fan base, and people like yourself have used it for years and years. So it would be a shame for it to.
It's just really. I mean, it's cheap comparatively, and it's just really lean and fast and efficient, and hooks into all of the Mac stuff, and it's available on iPhone and iPad and whatever. They're just good.
It sounds like they're keeping the team, doesn't it? I read a bit of the press release. I think the team's coming on board, aren't they? So that's reassuring, I suppose.
Yeah.
We'll
but
see.
what's not hanging around is the Lightning to 3.5mm adapter. So it seems to be selling out around the world. So just a PSA, if you are planning on holding on to a Lightning enabled phone for another few years and you like to use wired headphones, you might want to pick yourself up one of those before they disappear, although there are third-party ones available. But if you want the official Apple
get the third-party one. That's, I think, talking about Apple's best ever product with the M4 Mac Mini, I think their worst ever product is that 3.5mm Lightning. I could not believe how horrible that cable was. When you bear in mind that the cables that you get now from Apple, whether it be Lightning cables or USB-C cables, or the new power cable for the Mac Mini is braided. It's a really nice quality cable. The fact they even thought of making that 3.5mm to Lightning one.
Oh, are you talking about the one for the AirPods Max? No, I'm talking about the dongle adapter that allows you to use any 3.5mm.
Oh, the dongle little thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
not
still a bit
the
rubbish,
not
though,
the. Well,
it's a bit thin.
Some people still like to use the wired.
I don't like thin cables, Rob.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is there any other Apple news? Oh, there's been a bunch of reports about people getting refunds on their AppleCare devices that they traded in. So whether you bought it up front or whether you were paying monthly, if you traded in your device and forgot to cancel that, Apple are just automatically refunding you, which is quite nice of them. So nice touch, isn't it?
That is very nice.
Because I guess you were paying to insure a device that you didn't own anymore, so it doesn't really make any sense. So perhaps it was always supposed to sort of be cut off automatically when you traded the device in and it didn't work and someone's just noticed. But yeah, people are just getting hundreds of pounds of refund just out of nowhere.
Very nice. Lovely. Thank you, Tim.
Not very much, depending on how recently you traded your device in.
True. That's all the Apple news, though, isn't it?
That is all the Apple news. What else is going on in the world? You've got any?
We've got some general tech news here. You've mentioned BlueSky, which is apparently the user base is rapidly...
BlueSky. That's how you pronounce BlueSky, as in rhymes with BlueSky.
Is it BlueSky?
Come on, Mark.
It's not spelt like that, though, is it? Oh, I'm just too... I'm going to give up now. I'm going to stop doing this. That to me is BlueSky. I don't care what people say. And if I ever mention it in a YouTube video, I'm going to say BlueSky because that really annoys people. BlueSky.
Run your BlueSky on your Linux.
Oh yeah, right, I remember that. I've not done that for a while. I've not said Linux for ages. I might throw that in a completely unrelated video at some point. Okay, BlueSky. Then they're
Post
nicking
all your
people.
GIFs.
All my gifts. So old. So BlueSky is rapidly taking people from X, Twitter. Let's call it Twitter, just for a laugh. Over a million users joining a day.
Apparently, yeah. So every time you look at an article about what their current user base is, it's just going up and up and up. The last time I checked, it was about 18 million. So that's interesting. So have you reserved your name on there before some other oik does and starts impersonating you?
No, I just can't be bothered. Just too many social networks. I thought about it earlier because I think I looked on Discord and someone mentioned, "Are you going to grab the Mark Ellis Reviews username?" I nearly did, and I just thought I can't be bothered. I've got an email to answer. There's always going to be a new BlueSky, isn't there?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I've gone with Mastodon personally, just because it's not centrally owned.
True. Is that still a thing? Is that still going?
Oh yeah. No, that's also seeing a bit of a resurgence in popularity. Not quite as much as BlueSky or Threads, but actually on the subject of Threads, Zuck's gonna pump that full of ads next year, isn't he?
I'd forgotten Threads existed. I genuinely had.
Okay,
cool. There you go. There's the tech news.
Do you personally still post on Twitter? Have you got minions to do that for you now?
No, I do. It's, yeah, I do. Not that regularly. I think I've said this before. The thing that I do with Twitter is just mess around with my creator mates on there, really. But my feed is now just so political. It's obviously it's just. I just open it and look at it and think, nah. Look at the notifications from Patrick Rambles, and if there aren't any, just close it.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got a Twitter, and I just popped onto it to have a look. In fact, I had Twitter before Stephen Fry. My Twitter number is lower than Stephen Fry's. Yeah, so check me out. But no, but I haven't used it for a very long time. But I popped on just to see if it really was as dreadful since Musk took over as everyone's saying. And it's just a literal fire hose of hate, isn't it?
Yeah, for me anyway. I mean, this may be different for other people, but it's been since the run up to the election. That's where it went horrendously wrong for me. Before that, it wasn't too bad actually, but definitely over the last 6 months, 7 months, it's got just unreadable. It's just you come off it, you just feel exhausted. Yeah, horrible. So, I mean, and also, just really quickly, the other thing that I know, I was thinking about this morning, funny enough. The algorithm on it is absolutely brutal. So if you hang on a post for a few seconds, if you do that on TikTok or Instagram, etc., or even YouTube, it works. It thinks you might want to see more of that. Generally speaking, you can kind of make sure that doesn't happen. So if something pops up on TikTok and I don't know, you put your phone down for a minute and you pick up and think, oh, I don't want it to think that I like that stuff. You can flick away, and generally speaking, it doesn't tend to do that. Twitter, you spend half a millisecond on there, it thinks you want to see more of whatever, which means your feed just gets full of things that you don't want to see. Yeah, horrendous.
Okay, so you're saying that you're sticking with Twitter simply because you can't be bothered to go and set up Threads and BlueSky.
I don't know why I am really. Yeah, I don't know what. Maybe I should be a BlueSky person. Maybe after this I'll sign up to BlueSky.
So and Mastodon. So to make this easier for you, have you heard of the Croissant app?
No.
Okay, so this is an app that allows you to cross post to Threads, BlueSky, and Mastodon in one go. So you can't do it to Twitter obviously because of the API stuff. But yeah, I think people are really going off Twitter. So it might be time to start sort of rebuilding your audience on one of those other platforms that people are fleeing to. But to make it easier, you can get this Croissant app, which you just post once, and it syndicates it to all three of those arguably nicer networks.
That's made me hungry now as well. I want a croissant. You've accidentally bought a new car, Rob. What happened? I saw a bit of this on Discord, but just for the benefit of people listening and watching, what car did you... that made me think of Withnail and I when they accidentally went on holiday to the Lake District. Probably not quite as funny, but what happened?
So the thing about my small children is that they keep getting bigger. And so we've got an Audi A3, which has served fine when they were as a family whip when they were little. It's a reasonably sized boot. We could fit the push chair in, and so we're going away on holiday. It was doable, but although like the things that they need have changed, so we don't need to take Moses baskets and portable cribs,
all that stuff, baby equipment,
because they can you can put them in a bed and they'll still be there in the morning and they won't have soiled it. We're at that stage now, so that's quite good. But they just need more other stuff. Just all their clothes are bigger, and they need different kinds of shoes, and because they're not being carried or pushed everywhere. So anyway, we've outgrown the A3, and so I was looking at sort of a mid-range, mid-size family SUV, which it makes it a little bit sick. Came up as I was saying that, and I knew, as a fellow sort of car person, just this SUV, feels horrible, doesn't it? But unfortunately,
We all do it.
We've got to be practical.
We've got
So we're looking at the usual suspects. I mean, if you were looking for well, actually no, I don't know why I'm asking you, because you bought a sodding great Range Rover, didn't you? But if you were a normal person, what sort of what would be the usual suspects for a mid-size, mid-range family SUV in your book?
It's going to be something Korean, isn't it? Normally, a Kia.
Yeah. So no,
That is genuinely the first brand that comes to mind for me. The first thing that comes to mind.
So we went out and we looked at your X3, your Volvo, what's
XC something.
XC60, and the Audi Q something.
3.
Q. Yeah,
Not
the 3. The 3, because the 3 is just an A3 on stilts, isn't it? So it's
probably a 5, was it? I guess.
Anyway, long story short, we're just in the sort of industrial estate where all the dealers were, there was a Kia, and we were like, okay, let's go and try a Kia just for lols, and ended up buying a brand new Sportage.
Nice.
It's
Sportage.
Genuinely brilliant. I couldn't believe it. So we were actually thinking about going electric this time round, but with all the road tax changes that are coming in April. So obviously any car that's got a retail price of over 40 grand, you then pay the luxury car tax which is going to cost you 2 grand over 5 years. And then, you still got to pay, there's no benefit in terms of road tax for having an electric vehicle. Then you've got like another grand to get a charger installed. The price of electricity is still stupid, so there's not much in the way of savings there either. So it just, this time round, obviously I think next time we buy a car we won't have a choice, will we? But I was genuinely surprised at what a nice place to be the inside of a Kia Sportage is. It's got all
I saw your photos. Looks lovely.
Yeah, so the interior is lovely. The ride is just glorious. It's just like floating around on a cloud, but without being spongy. And so even though it's got like the regenerative brakes thing to do the self-charging hybrid, so it's a self-charging hybrid, so not mild hybrid but not plug-in either. It's sort of the weird in-betweeny one where it can drive off electric power up to 38 miles an hour, but only off electricity that it's generated itself. I was expecting to buy a Volvo that day, but it was horrible.
Was it really? In what way? Why was it horrible?
So the interior is a joke compared to the other 3.
Okay.
It really is outdated, and it's got very little in the way of physical controls. You've got to do everything via the touch display, which would be fine if it was a responsive, nice touch display, but it is not a responsive, nice touch. It was irritating. It rolled more than the others in the corners. The steering was stiff, but not response. He didn't give you much feedback, so there was a sort of heavy steering, but I didn't really know what the front of the car was doing. So I didn't like the way it drove. I didn't like I didn't like the interior.
Not very nice.
And it was really, really bland. The Audi was lovely, but it just felt like the same car but bigger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like if you're buying a new car, you want it to feel like a new car. And
completely different.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Q, but it was just like this is the same car but bigger.
Yeah. So you've gone. I don't blame you going for a Kia at all. I've never owned one myself. I've been in quite a few of them. Never driven one, but whenever you spot them on the road, they look nice as well. They seem to know what they're doing with their design and. But like you said, the interior, the fact you get all that stuff, all the toys, and for I'd guess not too much money as well.
Well, this is the thing, right? So you're like, well, hang on, why did you buy a new one? I thought you were interested in value, Rob. People were screaming at
I did wonder,
their
I'll be
laptops.
honest.
In that week that we bought it, Kia had announced the facelifted one that's coming next year, and also just with the state of the second-hand market. It actually it worked out cheaper to buy a new one, taking their finance offer with the deposit contribution and all that stuff. So you pay 50% up front, and then they'll give you an extra such as. It just worked out cheaper for reasons I don't understand. So we were quite happy to pay outright, and I know car dealers don't like that. They really want you to take their finance, don't they? But yeah, this was 0%. So it's like, I don't know what's in it for them. So yeah, long story short, it worked out cheaper to buy a new Kia Sportage than it did to buy a second-hand Volvo, BMW, or
Nice.
Equivalent Audi.
And you've got a brand new car. That's always a nice thing, isn't it? You've got the nice smell. You've got very few miles on the clock and all the warranty.
The only thing I'm
How many
slightly
years
worried
warranty?
about-
About 20 years.
7, isn't it? 7 years warranty. It's got a massive boot as well. The boot was much bigger and much used. It's got no loading lip. The seats split 40-20-40, which the others don't.
What is it about when you get older? You
start caring about this stuff.
Love a big boot. I love my massive boot. I don't want a car that doesn't have a boot the size of mine ever again, because I think that would ruin my day every day. So even though I don't put much in it ever, apart from occasional baby equipment, I normally just open the boot, put my little bag in it, and have all this cavernous space. But it's really satisfying every single time.
How's it been in your ownership? Because you
The Range
sent it
Rover.
back to get some cosmetic stuff sorted out, didn't you?
Yeah, that's all been sorted. Yeah, as much as you can sort with a car that's it's 5 years old. This thing, but it's in good nick for that age. But no, it's great. You get some. You never get let out from junctions. People just assume you're an idiot immediately because you're driving a Range Rover. But I've got used to that. I had a BMW before. No, it's great. It's a lovely car. It's a lovely car to drive around in, and it is that kind of melding between practical and a bit petrol heady as well. And it's got a fridge.
Oh,
And it's got a heated steering wheel, which is the best thing ever. Rob, have you got a heated steering wheel in your Kia?
I got a heated steering wheel, heated
Excellent.
front and rear seats for some reason.
Nice.
The seats are electrically operated. It's got everything except actually wireless CarPlay, which is a bit of a bummer.
Oh, that's a shame. Mine hasn't got that either. But the heated steering wheel, if you've not had one before, which I hadn't before, I had a couple of hire cars that had it, but that's life changing. So a massive boot and a heated steering wheel, they're the two things I don't want to give up in future cars ever.
Yeah. How is the Marques Motors brand going? I've not been paying attention.
Well, you haven't missed anything because it's been a bit quiet over the last couple of months. We've got a few ideas with it, so we're focusing more on what we're doing best at the moment. But it's not gone. We have plans. We do have plans.
Actually, on the subject of Marques Motors, or sort of YouTubers reviewing cars, Marques has been a naughty boy, hasn't he?
Yeah. Should we wrap up on that? I mean, is there anything else we might have a quick chat about this? Is there anything else you want to mention before we kind of talk about Marques?
Well, there are only two things. So in terms of my news, so I accidentally bought a new car, and my smart lock, my Yale Connexus L1, is just getting on my tits. So it locked Mrs. Rob out the other day because it had run out of battery, and it's always in the past it gives you fair warning. It makes beepy noises for weeks before it runs out, but I don't know whether maybe it just got a bit confused because it's colder now, and so its battery level algorithm has gone a bit wrong. In any case, it locked her out, which was fine on this occasion because I was still in the house. But what you should be able to do on that lock is it's got like a 9-volt battery terminal on the front, so even if the battery runs out, you can get yourself a rectangular 9-volt battery and gives it just enough juice to get yourself back in again. Because it completely replaces the lock. There's no keyhole on my front door. You can only get in via the NFC tag or via the app or whatever. But yeah, I noticed that those are corroded. So anyway, it's at least 5 years old, maybe 6. I know it's starting to get old and clunky, and there are options now with Home Key, where you can use your phone or your Apple Watch as your front door key. So I'm considering the Aquara U200.
Okay.
So I mean, it will mean putting a new Euro cylinder in and a new handle. So because it just sort of it's the only one that will work with sort of European, UK doors, particularly multi-point. There are loads of options out there for deadbolts, but for the kind of locks that we have here and in other places around the world, options are thin on the ground. So while I was looking at that, I noticed that that Nuki, are you familiar with Nuki? They're a sort of pretty popular smart lock brand. They've just released the Nuki Ultra. Well, also they've announced it. You can't actually get it yet. That looks super cool. I don't know if you had a look at that. It's got like a brushless motor. It looks like a premium product.
It's very nice. No
It's got like a
HomeKit
brush.
support though.
There's no HomeKit support, which I mean, technically you could retrofit if you could be bothered with, if you've got a Raspberry Pi knocking about, you can cobble together, a solution. I can't be asked, so I think I'm going to go with the U200 and change my multi-point lock to an auto-engaging one, so that you don't have to pull the handle up to do the full lock, because that's got old. And then there's the reviews. There's been a review of the Tiny Pod. I'm waiting for this Tiny Pod, which is a little case that allows you to turn an Apple Watch into just a little prison phone, basically.
Yep.
Or a Zoolander phone. But apparently it's rubbish, according to two-dimensional David. He's got one.
So many of these things that look or sound great on paper just turn out to be crap, don't they?
I mean, I didn't expect it to change the world. I'm still looking forward to it because it's a fun thing. But yes, anyway, Marques has been a naughty boy.
Yeah, Marques.
What do you think about that?
It's a shame to finish on this, really. Wasn't that impressed, to be honest. I stood up for him when he did the whole... what was the app called? Panels. Was it Panels? The wallpaper thing?
Oh, God, yeah. That didn't go well,
not been a great year, has it? Yeah, I stood up for him there because I just think it was. I don't know. Again, I'm making a few assumptions here, but I think it kind of illustrated a business that is run by a lot of relatively inexperienced business people. I have to always preface this by saying that he's colossal compared to what I've achieved on YouTube. He remains a big inspiration for me, but I think the panels thing was a bit overblown, really, and he responded really well to it, I thought. This, though. Again, I don't want to use this platform to throw shade at him, because he has apologised. He did very quickly post on Twitter, X, whatever, saying I'm an idiot. Well, he didn't say that. He said I've done something stupid, won't do it again, etc., etc., etc. Although they brush over it very quickly on the. I don't know if you've heard it. At the Waveform podcast, they talked about that. Yeah, it was at the top of the show, so they put it at the front of it, understandably. But they covered that, and they covered the. They spent a lot more time on the sponsored nature of that video, which was also highly criticised for being what many people deem to be an advert for. Was it DJI? It was sponsored by. I think it was, wasn't it? But they very quickly brushed over the whole thing. But for those who don't know, I mean, I think most people do. He was driving it. Was it 96 miles an hour through a 35 limit?
Well, in a school area, there were the signs of saying children.
And they'd whether it was him or whoever edited that video had blurred out the speedo in the front of him, where the speedo normally is on a car, and completely forgetting that in the Lamborghini he was driving there was a speed reading for the passenger as well, which you could clearly see read 96. There's just, I mean, again, he hasn't tried to defend it, because he can't defend it, can you? But I think when you're in his position, what bothered me a little bit was that there were so many people running to his defence on Twitter, funny enough, saying things like, "Oh, we've all sped at some point, haven't we?" Yes,
yeah,
I've gone above.
The speed limit.
Yeah, I've gone. We all. I think if anyone says I don't break the speed limit, you're probably lying, because I think we all do it occasionally. But I've never driven. I said to someone on Twitter, just close your eyes and picture a car driving at 96 miles an hour through a residential street. It's horrifying how fast it is. And being a dad, I'm sure you're the same. The thought that I could have been walking across the road with my son then, or he could have ran across the road or something. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, not very impressive at all. And it has. I don't really want to watch any of his stuff at the moment, if I'm being completely honest. It's bothered me. Is it being a dad? It's not just being a dad, is it?
I'm sure that brings an extra layer of disappointment in his behaviour. So yeah, I wonder how many more car sponsorships he's going to get now. Yeah,
did you watch the video? I've not even watched. I
haven't seen it, no.
But yeah, I think when you're in a position of authority, and as he is a lot of influence, you just have to be. It's not about being careful. You just don't do that.
Well, surely that's got to be license revoking level of speeding, hasn't it?
It feels like it. It would be I mean, I can't speak for the US, but in the UK, that's pretty serious, isn't it? If you're caught doing that.
Which,
Don't speed,
be a
kids.
bit of an issue for his autofocus brand, isn't it? If he himself can't legally drive anything.
But he has put his hand up. He said, "Sorry, we won't keep bashing the guy." But
Yeah. Everyone will have forgotten about it in 6 months, probably.
Well, they just.
But
I
well,
think
so
we're there,
let's
Rob.
lighten
Yeah,
the
silly
mood,
thing.
right? The
Let's do
silly
that,
thing.
yeah.
We always finish on the silly thing. So I can't remember when it was. The last time and the time before. We know we mentioned that the classic sort of digital Casio watch that you could get as an alarm clock size or wall clock size. And maybe that's not for you. Maybe you don't want a bigger Casio looking clock. Maybe you want a small one. Maybe you want to put one on your finger. Well, now you can. So there you can get a Casio smart ring that basically puts a tiny little Casio digital watch on your finger. You've seen the
I'm
link?
just looking at it now. I can't find any images of it. It's taken me off that. Oh, hang on. Here we are. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Not for me. But why not? I suppose. I think I've said this before. I love the fact that some companies out there are happy to make this sort of stuff because it's interesting and funny.
Yeah. So there we go. And on a fun thing. So I'll put the link in the show notes. Just if you want to check that out, please do.
Lovely. I won't be buying one of those, but I expect to see one on your ring finger next time we record. Whenever it's going to be, we will be back.
So it's not going to be next week or the following week. So
we'll figure it out.
Maybe we might be able to squeeze one in before the end of November. We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Let's see how the travel goes and how jet lagged I am. Or to be honest, when I'm jet lagged, it's probably a little bit more interesting or amusing. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, right. What I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and get ready for Bali. Yeah. This is work, by the way. It's definitely work. I promise.
Have a good trip. And see you when you get back.
Thank you. Cheers.
See ya.